Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to take you for a walk through the layers that make up this image in Photoshop. So mostly the work is masking, bringing in all the different wisps of smoke from a number of different exposures. There's a little bit of frequency separation and a little bit of dodging and burning. So if you're interested to see how it was put together, that's enough from me. Let's jump into Photoshop and see how it was done. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop and we're just going to do a super quick tour of the layers that make up this composite image. So we'll start at the very bottom of the stack with this file called composites, this folder I should say called composite, and it's made up of a couple of layers. So to start with, we've got our backplate, and the reason we've got this backplate is that this was the favorite exposure. This is what I got once all the lights were set up and everything was working just how I wanted it in terms of the overall exposure. But what you don't see there is that I accidentally knocked the bottle and didn't notice. How unforgivable. Look at that. So I just had to replace the label from a previous shot. We'll fold that up. Just notice as well, incidentally, you've got a little bit of light refracting through the bottle here onto this label. So I'm going to need to fix that later on. Now that brings us onto the smoke. If I bring in this main folder here called Ambient Smoke, this is all the smoke that's making up the background, and this is really where I'm not 100% convinced that we're done here. Now it's made up of two separate folders, and this was just for my own benefit really. This one is called Ambient Smoke, and all we're doing is, let's keep the background in, is masking in the smoke that we liked from all of the different exposures that I took. Probably about 150 exposures all in, which is why there's not a behind the scenes video. It would have been really boring. But you can see here that we're just hand drawing masks and just bringing in stuff that we like and getting rid of stuff that we don't like. And that is that. Now the one above it is called Ambient Smoke Wisps, and these ones have just got a little bit more structure, haven't they? The background is a bit more, well, ambient, whereas these ones have got sharper edges, a little bit more contrast. And I do really like these, if I'm honest. These smoke wisps are great. However, the difference between them is that the more kind of billowing, smoky wisps in the background and the ambient sort of crisper, harder, more contrasty wisps, the reason that the quality of the smoke is different is that they're made by different types of incense and they've got a slightly different color cast. And you probably can't see this on YouTube, but I can't tolerate it. I absolutely can't tolerate it. So I've made a mask and I've sampled this color from an existing wisp of smoke and applied it as a solid color adjustment layer, set to color mode. It's only on 13% and it's showing through this mask. So this mask is made out of the smoky wisps that you can see on the document here, and it's a pretty good mask, really. Now if I bring this up to like 100%, you can see that it's way too saturated in this case, but you can see that it's just dropping color only onto the wisps of smoke, and that is a pretty advanced mask, but it took me about 2 minutes to do. So if you're not 100% clued up on how this mask is working, or if you want to know how this mask was made, because it's pretty detailed and it matches the background exactly, does exactly the job I need it to do, then just hit subscribe. I'm going to release a couple of things on masking, working from kind of basic masking techniques up to really advanced masking techniques, and we'll see some more of those in this layer stack just in a moment. So yeah, if you're interested in masking and how you can get that kind of detail into your masks like really quickly and easily, then just hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and if I've already made the videos, obviously by the time you see this episode, then take a look in the top right hand corner and you should see a little card pop in that says how to be awesome at masking or something similar. Right, okay, let's move on, guys. Glass smoke. This is the exposure that I liked as a base exposure for the smoke emerging out of the glass. But actually, without the mask that I've applied to it, it's a little bit too dense. The smoke in the glass is a bit too dense. And this might look like I've done something clever. When I looked back at the mask afterwards, I thought, oh, that looks like I've used a special technique based on luminosity or something. But I've not. I've just looked directly at the image and painted with a very, very low flow and a bit of detail just to mask out any areas where I felt that the smoke was too dense. So this is what it looks like without. And it's a bit too thick, isn't it? We can't see the orange peel as well. We don't realize a toothpick is there. The smoke in the glass is a bit too dense. I think this is a lot better. And then if we just zoom back out again, hold on, I've accidentally pressed O instead of 0. Sorry guys. I've just added some additional wisps of smoke. So separately to the rest of the exposures in this image, I just spent about 20 minutes just filling the glass with smoke and wafting it back out of the glass. So these are the images that these are the layers that added just a little bit of extra, and you can see again by looking at the masks, it's all very simple stuff, nothing clever. I've just looked at the images, chosen the wisps that I liked and added them in accordingly. Have we ended up with too much smoke? It's hard to say, isn't it? It's a matter of taste. Anyway, let's move on. Frequency separation. Guys, if you don't know about frequency separation, same rules apply. Just hit the subscribe button or look out for a card popping into the top right hand corner. You'll see that what we've done is remove some of these horrible kind of crusty bits of wood from the box, and we have cleaned up the spill of light that's coming through here. That was easy to do with frequency separation, and a little bit of texture cleanup on the bottle. So all of this stuff, these are reflections of my diffusion panel, even though it is huge. This is a 2 meter by 2 meter diffusion panel, and you can see the line in the middle where the sellotape is. Unbearable. And all of these little specks of dust, the reflection from my beauty dish, reflections around the bottle just here, all gone in about 5 minutes with frequency separation. Absolutely no problem. So if you're not 100% clued up on how frequency separation works, I'll just show you really quickly. I'm going to solo up the low frequency layer. Looks like this. Everything is just blurred, and it's just the tonality, the tonal values, and they are easy to manipulate. You can see what I've done is just blur and blend and paint them out. So that's this. Then on top of that, I've got the high frequency layer, which I've modified with the clone stamp. And if I solo that, you'll realize it looks like this. Absolutely crazy. I understand if you don't really know much about frequency separation, this must look mad. But the low frequency separation is basically the tonal quality, the color, and the high frequency separation is the detail. That's what we're looking at here. When you put them all together, you end up with an image which matches exactly the image below it. If I turn them on and off, you'll see, oh, hold on. Or maybe you won't if I turn everything off in here. I have indeed. Sorry guys, I'm being stupid. Yeah, you'll see there's not really any difference there at all, apart from the cleanup work. So it's a fantastic way of approaching your retouching. Hotly debated amongst skin retouchers as to whether or not it's the worst thing that's ever happened to Photoshop editing workflow, or the best thing that's ever happened to Photoshop editing workflow. But for product photographers, I can tell you unreservedly, it's the best thing you could ever learn. So I'll be sticking up a frequency separation tutorial as soon as I can. I think it's going to be 2 weeks based on my current shooting schedule. So let's see what's next. Guys, classic dodge and burn. Monkey dodge, you'll just see if we come in here, the monkeys just popping ever so slightly as we start to add in this monkey dodge layer. And it is literally just a mid-grey layer that we've painted on with a white pen just to add in highlights on the top of each of these. So it's pretty small. This was pretty close detail work, but each one of these little strands of monkey hair I've just painted on slightly, and I ended up doing 2 layers just to really bring out the pop. So the first one is very detailed, and the second one you can kind of see I've just washed over everything just to make the monkeys really pop out. Now the second one is classic dodge and burn, and what I've done is just lightened the label. And the reason I'm zooming in is because I just want you to notice that the text is not really getting any lighter. I wanted to lighten up the label, but I didn't want to lose the definition in the text. So you can kind of see from looking at my thumbnail that I've got the classic mid-grey layer, it's set to soft light, I've painted on it in white, and I've lightened up the label. But the reason it's not affecting my layer is that I have this mask. So another really, really detailed mask, super easy to make. Probably took me about 2 minutes to get that mask put together. And now I can lighten up the label without affecting any of the text. And likewise, if I just disable this mask, you'll see that this is just a mess. Look at that. I mean, all I've done here is painted with a black pen. I've just splodged it on willy-nilly onto this mid-grey layer. Another mid-grey layer, set to soft light, black pen, blah, just making a complete mess all over my label. But luckily, my mask, if I can get it to come up, looks like this. So what I've ended up with here is here we go, let me zoom in, my computer's suddenly running very slowly, is a very clean, very accurate mask that allows me to bring down the luminosity of the gold text and just the gold text. Now finally, we've got just a classic dodge and burn layer, and you'll notice there was still, even after the frequency separation, there was still a bit of mess here. So I've just used classic dodge and burn techniques to even that out and add a little bit more contrast to the smoke and a little bit more general drama to the image, and that is the end. On top of that, we've just got normal high pass sharpening. You can barely even see what it's doing unless you zoom right in, but this is our high pass classic Photoshop sharpening technique. Output curve is my standard. If you've seen any of my tutorials before, you know this is a standard thing. I'm always going to just check if I can just squeeze a little bit more contrast out of the image. I feel like this is the maximum. This is as far as we can go. So this is just set to luminosity, pull down the shadows, increase the highlights, and then the same classic output levels just to check I'm using the full dynamic range available in this image, and we are done. Guys, I'm not in love with it. I mean, I really like the concept and the image, but I'm not convinced about the crop, and I'm not 100% convinced about the amount of smoke that's in there. So if you see this video and then later on you happen across my Instagram or my portfolio, you might see a difference in the final image. But the techniques are all valid. What I won't be changing is any of the work that's done on this or any of the color work that was done onto the smoke. So those masking techniques, really, really useful. The frequency separation, obviously huge time saver. If you're a product photographer, you need to know that. So yeah, if you're not 100% sure about any of the techniques that I did here, either drop me a message in the comments, drop me a DM, I will get back to you. Or alternatively, just hit subscribe, check out my other videos, and you should find everything that you need to get going with those techniques. Okay, cheers guys.